Jonas Vingegaard's crash was one of those moments that instantly silenced the entire cycling world. In a split second, the two-time Tour de France champion went from fighting for position to fighting just to stay on the bike, after a high-speed crash during the Tour of the Basque Country left him with serious injuries and forced him out of the race. The fall happened on a downhill section, where one rider lost control and several others were caught in the chain reaction. Vingegaard was taken away on a stretcher and later diagnosed with a broken collarbone, several broken ribs, and a collapsed lung, injuries that made his condition far more frightening than a simple race accident. His team said he was stable and conscious, but anyone watching knew this was the kind of crash that changes a season in an instant. For a rider who had spent years building himself into one of the strongest climbers in the sport, the scene was hard to watch because it reminded everyone how fragile even the greatest athletes really are. Vingegaard's story makes the crash even more emotional. Born in Denmark in 1996, he worked his way up from a quiet, disciplined talent into one of the biggest names in modern cycling. He won back-to-back Tour de France titles and became known not for flashy speeches or dramatic gestures, but for steady, ruthless climbing and calm determination under pressure. That's why the crash hit so hard. It wasn't just another rider going down. It was a champion whose entire career seemed to be built on endurance and control suddenly left helpless on the road. Off the bike, Vingegaard has kept much of his private life out of the spotlight. He is married to Trine Hansen, and they share a family life that has often been described as a grounding force behind his success. That human side matters, because when an accident like this happens, it's not just the rider who feels it. It's the people waiting at home, watching the news, and hoping the phone rings with better news. His recovery became a race of its own, with hospitals, scans, and slow healing replacing the intensity of competition. What makes the story especially powerful is that Vingegaard did come back. He recovered well enough to return to racing, and later said that pulling on the yellow jersey again gave him closure after a crash that had nearly ended everything. That detail matters because it shows the difference between injury and defeat. The crash was terrifying, but it didn't define him. Instead, it became part of a larger story about resilience, patience, and the will to come back stronger. If Jonas Vingegaard's crash reminded you how brutal and beautiful cycling can be, and how quickly one moment can change a life, please like this video and subscribe for more emotional sports stories.